Everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. I'm Anthony Toma, my co-host Junior Binno. We have Sid Jamil here today with KW Domain and VIMA. VIMA stands for something, and Sid's going to get into what that stands for, as well as some bits about KW Domain. What's going on, Sid?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
I've been watching your shows. I think what you guys are doing is excellent. It's great for our community, and promoting other people's success within our own community is a great thing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. We appreciate you too, brother.
We do, yes.
Yeah. So to answer your question about the Vima, so I'm probably going to be your first guest that has two professional full-time careers.
Yep.
Vima is where I work as an investment advisor. So Vima, it's just the first two letters of each of the owner's last name.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
there's nothing tricky about it. But and I'll get into that, and then obviously KW Domain as well in downtown Birmingham.
Okay.
So starting off with the financial advising side, or actually, which one did you begin? That side first or the realty side?
No, it was the financial advising side.
All right.
So I first got licensed in 2000, so a long time ago, and
you're only 21. How'd you do?
Yeah,
that?
right. I started early. So it was a really good experience. I worked at different institutions, and I found that it seems like the business, the companies that I was working for were more focused on themselves and less about the clients. And that kind of struck a nerve with me. It wasn't always like that. So I ended up leaving the one firm that I was at to go to one that would be more client friendly. And I got before I knew it, I got in a legal battle with them. So while that was being straightened out, I picked up real estate. I had bought my house just about a year or so earlier.
Yeah.
And I loved the experience of it. And, before, when my situation finished, I didn't want to give up real estate. I had a passion for it. And I think that anything you do to be successful, you should have a passion for it.
Sure.
And you can't always choose what you have passion for. So I had something that I grew a passion for, and I just didn't want to let it go.
Curious, was it Namir George that you were tutored by, or
no?
Or
I went to somebody else in Northville.
Okay.
I forgot her name, but I hear good things about Namir as well.
Yep. For real estate, he's one of the, I
Yeah.
believe one of the biggest we've got in Michigan that teaches the classes. So it's good. Yeah, kudos to another Chaldean.
He's a marketing guru. He does very well marketing his product and service.
He's got some videos online.
Yep.
As well.
Online,
I think some books.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep, you can even go through classes through him online to be able to go for building and your real estate too as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So you went to this place, Northville. You got started with that. Tell us your first big sale that you did when you got in. Was it a house or commercial?
So I only focus on residential.
Okay.
If somebody wants commercial, I'll refer them
Sure.
to somebody who specializes in commercial. I think they're going to be better suited.
Like say a Harry Barish or somebody?
I got a lot of them. I got
Okay.
Harry. I got Kevin Japaya. I've got Daryl Goodwin. I got a lot
Daryl.
of them.
Daryl's a good friend.
too?
Oh, good friend of mine.
All good people.
Yep, everybody
All
good.
great
We
people.
share a birthday together.
Oh, you
coming
do?
up. Yeah, next month.
Okay.
Same year?
No, unfortunately not. He's younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Daryl is a good guy. We ended up going to Acapulco with him back
Oh,
in
did you really?
99. Yeah, all the state guys. So.
Right.
But where I'm at now, it's more of a boutique firm. It's not, you're not going to see advertisement for it. You're not going to see, big commercials for it. It's just a small private firm. And again, I custody my client assets with TD Ameritrade, which is, huge.
So when, as an individual, do I come see you, and why would I come see you for that purpose? Like, is it a point when I'm reaching X amount of dollars in my account, or is it something I should start when I'm younger to start seeing you?
Yeah.
What's the best benefit, to coming to see you for an age perspective and financial perspective?
So I think everybody should have an idea when they start working in the professional world, what their goals are, what they're looking to do with their money. If you get matching 401k options, take that, invest as much as you can, contribute as much as you can if you get a free match. But when it should be early and often. Clients clients need help at all different stages, from growth to requiring income after retirement.
Yep.
And passing on to their heirs as well. So if you have assets, you should, and particularly most of the time, your retirement plan is your largest investable asset.
Okay.
Your 401k. And clients, they've been at firms or companies for a very long time working, and they've got substantial 401k that they just leave it there because they just don't know. It's easy to do nothing. Like if you have to make a hard decision, sometimes the easiest thing to do is do nothing.
Just let it just sit there and just idle and do whatever.
But that's a big problem, because what a lot of people don't realize is most 401k plans have very small amount of options. And the employer pays for the plan. And so the more options they provide, the costlier it is. So if you have restrictions, why would you stay with a firm or with a 401k that has restrictions if you can go open it up? I mean, I can offer really anything, and I'd like to get into that as well, as to what makes it unique in the RIA world and what we can do with TD Ameritrade.
Well, that's kind of I'm glad you mentioned that about what you're able to do with your like once you build your 401k, you should have an option to be able to do without either penalties and all the other stuff that may come about. The other question is in line with this is, do you deal with like kids too as well, like the 529?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason
I don't personally, but I always advise for it.
Okay. The reason I'm just bringing that up is because I didn't go with the 529. I got two goddaughters that I did the aggressive money market account, where they invest in it constantly, versus because that ability, that allows the ability for the kids when they turn 18. They don't have to just use it for school. They can pull it to use it, whether it be for a car.
So is it within the 529 program, or is it outside of that?
Outside of that.
Outside of that. Okay.
Outside of that.
So
Yep. And I did
custodial account is what you did.
Yeah, I did through Chase Bank is what I did it through. And so do you also help besides, I know you don't do the 529, but do you do stuff for planning for the kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Well? Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying that is because if you think about it, like we didn't have that growing up, where
it was there. Your parents just didn't do it for
you. Yeah, it was there. They just stashed it under the mattress.
Yeah.
And they had a different 401k.
Yeah, right.
So now that, especially like, you have kids now, you guys have kids, so it's like things are different now.
Yeah, so that's called a custodial account. It's an account that is not necessarily for schooling. It's a taxable account, but when they turn of age, then it turns into their name, and they can do whatever they want with it. You don't get the tax benefits of a 529.
Yeah.
Because again, it's taxable.
It's taxable.
Whereas a 529, if it's used for college and college-related expenses, it all grows tax-free.
Yep.
And if you don't use it yourself or for that child, you can
pass
transfer
it
to a sibling or
that was
cousin,
the biggest thing.
whatever.
I'm banking. I got two little smart ones. They're gonna have a full ride, so they'll be able to use that for other things.
In that situation, you're not penalized. You just pay a tax.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same thing as what it would. It's probably even more advantageous than if you would have just left it in the custodial account, paying tax every year.
I got
you. So it is a 529, I think, and you should really complement it with another product that I don't offer. But it's an MET, Michigan Educational Trust, because that one will only pay for tuition, whereas the 529 will pay for tuition, room, board, books, all the other miscellaneous. So if you combine them together, you can pay for the majority of what your total expenses would be.
Got you. All right, let's lead into the 401 then. Let's get on to that and give us an insight of, because a lot of us do have money floating and just don't know really where to go with it and what to do.
Well, that's a good question. When you think of investment management or financial advising, what do you think of?
Investment management or financial advising? You take a big chunk of money and you give it to someone to make it bigger.
Okay, so that would be growth. Okay?
Yep.
Now fast forward and pretend you're 85 years old or 75 years old. You're no longer looking for growth. You need income.
Right.
So, there's a different. So people look at things differently based on whatever their circumstances are.
Right.
And it's my job to help prepare them for what they're not necessarily thinking of today.
Now, right.
But to get them where they need to be at that time. So, Junior, what do you think about when you think about investing?
I think I got to line up with Anthony on that one. I just give somebody money, and they're going to end up they're making the better risks for me by calculating them than I would and knowing what to do with it and have it prepared for me for a later date to help me out. But I just that's how I always thought of, but I realized there's a lot more than just that I just hand you over money and there it goes and it grows.
So from your perspective, getting to that stage is really your number one thing. From my perspective, it's understanding and communicating and getting to know your client as far as what they're looking for, what their risk tolerance is. I mean, you can have, it's not only based on age as far as risk tolerance. So you can have a twin, and one can be very conservative, one can be very aggressive, and everything else in their life is exactly the same. So feelings and tolerance towards risk is very important within how to manage a portfolio and knowing their goals and what their needs are. So those types of things. So I don't expect clients to have all the answers. If they did, they wouldn't need assistance.
Right.
And you can manage your portfolios on your own if you know what you're doing and you manage risk. That's the important thing. Manage risk. So as an example, if you lose 50% of your portfolio, to get back to even, most people say, oh, I need to make 50%. But no, that gives them back to 75. They need 100%. So the key is to avoid these types of big declines. And if you're not really on top of it, you're not really knowing what you're doing, you're subjecting yourself to steep declines that could take a lifetime to recover from.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, I mean, most people have.
Yeah, we've made. I learned years and years of my life it was measure once, cut once.
Yeah.
But in the last
measure twice, cut once.
Oh, now you know measure twice, cut once.
Now I know measure twice, cut once.
Right.
It took me a few
well, that's part of
hits on the bank account, but
that's called experience.
It is, and I learned a lot from it. And I wish, like, knowing. See, growing up in our, which is awesome, what you're doing right now is we didn't have that full guidance to know what to do with it. It sat in our pocket, we burned it.
Yeah.
You know, we figured.
See, unfortunately,
found a home for it in somebody else's account.
Yeah, you feel me? We just spend, thinking it was always going to be there tomorrow.
So I think the old school mentality is kind of fading away, where it's either put it in the bank account, put it in a safe deposit box, and somebody's going to come and take it.
Yeah,
I think that's faded away. I think more people have the expectation of, hey, look, I have some wealth, I'm growing wealth. What's the best thing for me to do with this? I don't expect a doctor who's going to be very successful and has the assets to also be very proficient on investing.
Right.
Some do.
Yeah. But it's not their forte, you're right.
Exactly. Usually their forte is what brought them to the table with all that money.
Yep.
So I don't expect it, and that's why my position exists.
Well, it's good with what you're doing. The combination of the two is because a lot of investment falls onto property, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying in general, like as we look at it, we like to invest into that and try to make a return on that. So,
and I think part of that is people invest in what they know. If they're doing it on their own, they invest in what they know. They know land, they know property, they know buildings and whatnot. Yeah, they know real estate. So it's only natural.
If you're up for it, I mean, give us some of your experiences. Like, give us some of the things, the accolades of what you've accomplished for some of your clients. You don't have to mention clients' names, but if you just
never do that.
Yeah, no, we don't. We're not asking you to. But just if you give us a scenario or two, just so guys can understand. Hey, I came to you with $250,000 today.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to back it up or give it to Sid to do something with it. Where does it go from there?
It depends individually on what they're looking for and what so for example, if somebody gives me $250,000 and they said do something with it, well, my next question is, when do you need the money by? What's the money for?
All right.
If say you each give me $250 and you tell me the same instructions, and if I don't ask further, you're looking to buy a house next year and he's looking to retire in 30 years. So I have to manage yours much differently than Anthony's.
Sure.
So in that scenario, you're in 1 year period, I would tell you just put it in the money market and call it call it a day because it's not worth whatever risk since you have such a small window to do something with. Now with Anthony, see, I love it in that situation because we have time on our hands. We can go do
10. I'd like to retire in 10 years, not 30, buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
Follow his
I didn't even like the
instructions
hypothetical there.
No, the longer that you have, the more opportunity you have to withstand the cycles of the market, the roller coaster rides of the market. Now, what I try doing is reducing the lows. And when you reduce the lows, you don't have to reach the top with the rest of the market because, again, you lost less when they're low. So one example that I've got that I've used recently for my clients, and I did this, I think, in April for a significant amount of my client assets, was the market was up, I believe, 15% at the time I did it. And it's an investment, and it's tied to the S&P 500. It's a 15-month investment. It gives you 18% maximum if the market goes up in 15 months. If it goes up 18%, you'll capture all of that. However, if it doesn't, you have a 10% downside buffer. So if after 15 months the market dropped 8%, you lost nothing.
Right.
And so if it dropped 10%, you lose zero. If it loses 20%, everybody else is down 20%, and if you're down 10.
Yeah.
So that's a situation where I try to reduce the risk of my clients, and I figured that 15% that when I started it, another 18%, and that's 33% in a matter of 18, 19 months. I'll take that any day for my clients. And they get, and the great thing is, they worry so much less in a situation like that because they know that they've got a big cushion. 10% cushion in 15 months is pretty big.
So here's a strong question. I want to see how this plays out. Anthony, because you're using this phrase constantly and strongly, my client, right? So Anthony's your client today.
Okay.
10 years from now, you retire from the office that you're at right now. Does Anthony go with you as your portfolio to the next office that you're going to go through, or who handles it from there on for the next 20 years?
It's a great question. And the situation that I'm at today is the clients go with the advisor.
Okay.
So the clients are the advisors.
Great.
And here's another twist to that. A client can do whatever they want, whenever they want.
Right.
I don't have any surrender fees. I don't have prepayment or pre-termination penalty. Nothing like that. If you don't want to work with me anymore, you can stop and you stop getting charged.
Yeah.
There's no penalty.
So since you are a dual specialist, let's kick into KW domain. Talk a little bit about that and
start with right now first and foremost. Is this the best time to buy right now? And are we going into a recession?
I don't believe the recession concerns. I don't. The other aspect of your question is it a good time to buy? I mean, interest rates are so low right now. Low interest rates, unless you're a cash buyer, it doesn't matter. Well, but low interest rates will give you more purchasing power.
Okay.
And that's what's key. Yes, the market is at a high amount. It's at high valuations. But do I think it's going to collapse? See, a lot of times people think of what they've experienced, like in 2007, 2008, the market crashed and short sales everywhere, foreclosures. I don't see that. The economy was crashing at that time, and especially in Detroit area because we're a motor city. That's where we felt it the most. I don't see me personally. I don't see that happening. Whether or not it continues to go skyward, I don't see that either. But are you not going to move because the value of your house might go down 4% in 2 years? If that's the case, then you shouldn't be buying a house.
Right. Because that can fluctuate anyway. Because most terms when you buy are 15 or 30. So
I think what scares everyone is not that the 4%; it was the 50%.
The crash.
The crash was a disaster.
I personally don't forecast. I don't see a crash coming. But I mean, I'm not psychic.
Well, the crash was caused by the lending, right?
Yeah, very loose lending. I mean, there are a lot of factors. Very loose lending. They have tightened it up. I think they've kind of opened it up a little bit more.
And prior, the breakup of realistically, us taking that hit of hearing GM calling for bankruptcy in 05, 06, Delphi goes out,
a lot of
but the housing market collapse was throughout the whole country. It wasn't just Michigan. Obviously, we feel it most here. But I would not stop somebody from going forward with purchasing a house because of where they think the market is today or where it's going to be, especially with the interest rates. So if the house drops and they don't buy a house and the value goes down, but interest rates go up significantly, then really they're net neutral or they're even behind the 8 ball. Their payments are even higher now because interest rates went up. So I don't see that. I think it's still a healthy market.
What's your opinion on investment properties? Does a 4% swing kind of affect that, or?
You mean like a residential investment property?
Yeah. You're talking
residential investment property, yeah.
No, I wouldn't hesitate because, so your house, whether you're moving to a different house, the existing house that you live in, if you own it, it's fluctuating in value.
Right.
Does that mean you're going to go get an appraisal done every 6 months because you want to know?
Yeah, right.
No.
Right.
If I'll get to your question in a moment, but back to living in the house, it shouldn't matter. If you're going to be there for a while, what difference does it make if it goes up and down? I mean, are you going to move your family to an apartment and then go into the house and the part?
Right,
no,
right.
you're going to do what's best long term and let the roller coasters, roll themselves out.
Yep.
But from your perspective of a 4% swing, in my opinion, is very little.
Right, right.
It's very little. To me, it's too low to make a decision about.
Got you. Right.
Yeah.
What's some of the tips you can give in regards to leading up, one, finding a home and preparing to purchase the home?
Yeah.
Because I know there are two different things. You know what I'm saying? Preparing to buy, you got to get so much of your financials in order. And then knowing what you're looking for and all that stuff. That's a whole nother field too.
So that's a great question, Junior. I think so. I try. My background as an investment advisor, dealing with numbers all the time, and I think it helps my clients a lot because I look at things that they might not look at today. They might not consider it today. I look at so many different things, but in the early stages, I'll ask them the important stuff. Where do they work? How long do they expect to work in that location? Where's their family?
Right.
Are family important to them? And schools. Are they going to put their kids through private school? Do they have kids? Public schools. How important is the school system? Taxes. Do they want lakefront?
You're scaring people.
Oh, really?
Dude, no, I'm kidding.
We gotta do something about.
No, it's great that
viewers
to have a agent that knows exactly what someone doesn't know they don't know.
Right.
It's very important.
That's
very
exactly
important.
it.
Taking their skills
and one with the ethics that you have, and I know you donate to certain charities, and you've even offered us
promo
to
deal.
donate to one of our
that's
charities.
kind of fun.
A beautiful thing. Can you just talk about that? I know
Sure.
you go.
Sure.
Please do.
So on the real estate side, I contribute. I donate 3% of my gross proceeds. So before, Keller Williams Domain or whoever takes any of their cut, I donate 3% of the gross proceeds to one of 3 charities of my client's choice. My choice of the 3, but they choose within them. And not all my clients are Chaldean. So I have the Gary Sinise Foundation. It's very similar to a Wounded Warrior type. I was
Who's
born
Gary
here.
Sinise?
Gary Sinise was Lieutenant Dan from
Captain Dan, Lieutenant Dan,
from Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And he is a huge advocate to our wounded warriors, our wounded military. I mean, I was born in Michigan, but I can definitely appreciate having people fight for our safety. I mean, if we weren't such a great country, why would everyone want to come here?
Yeah.
Right.
And we are such a great country because we have people like these
wounded warriors.
They're some of them are making their ultimate sacrifice, and the ones who don't, who are still injured, I mean, they come home and they don't have the same life they used to. And so the Gary Sinise Foundation will build houses that are handicap accessible for them and just take care of the ones that took care of us. So that is one of the choices. The other one is Michigan Humane Society. I got a soft spot for animals.
Very good one.
That's okay.
Yeah. And then I've got the Adopt a Refugee Foundation. I think that one, I know you guys had Basil on not too long ago.
Sure did.
I can't. That guy is amazing.
Great guy, man.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Phenomenal.
Selfishly, I chose the 3, but they can choose which of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still.
That's very nice of
it's
you,
very,
man.
that's very. What made you start that? Was it when you first started your real estate, or was it a little after that you figured?
No, it was, well, yes, it was when I first started doing the real estate, but when I worked at a different institution, one of the big corporate companies on the financial advising side, they had a matching program.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to donate to the Adopt a Refugee. And then I found out that if I'm a board member, they double my match.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So I called up Basil, and he's like, congratulations, you're on the board. So I participated on the board, and then so when I left there, I wanted to do something to replicate it and
Gotcha.
and
That's
continue
awesome.
it.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
So just so you know, him and I grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
He still looks the same with a little bit of light gray, and I'm thinking, I don't know, it could be that one woman we interviewed that it's got him looking real pretty.
No.
Faith
Okay.
works on that face all day.
No.
Come
Okay.
on, Sid.
We had a great time with her, by the way.
I know.
She was a blast.
She's a blast.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. She had a great time.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys rock it out. Like, so you have a family. You guys are both working parents.
Yeah.
What's some of the hobbies and stuff that you guys do besides work, within our community? Like you said, you donate your time into sometimes Adopt a Refugee and other things, but tell us a little bit about you yourself, like what got you to this level in life. Struggles, happiness,
There's been
anything.
struggles. There's been happiness. I mean, with a wife and 3 kids, and we both work,
You
and
want to shout out the kids?
yeah.
Let's shout out the wife, too. What the heck?
All right, cosmetic nurse Faith.
Yeah.
She's
Woo.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Were you gonna see her? Somebody said you in that episode.
She threatened to bring some
Botox
with her, and she said one of us might pass out, and she didn't want to mess up her interview.
Okay.
If anything,
all right.
I might, just because I've had an ACL replacement and plus my shoulder. And she was talking about that PRP.
Yeah.
So,
she won't do the PRP for the medical purposes like that. She'll do PRP for hair restoration.
Okay.
And
okay, good to know.
Something for the skin as well.
Good
If I ever, Sid turns out to be an attorney also.
Well, it's funny because we'll get in bed and relax, try to turn on TV and watch something, and she's got these YouTube videos, just obsessed with learning new techniques
Nice.
and perfectioning her.
Yeah, she seems like a real go-getter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Chaldean American Chamber of Commerce member like yourself.
Yep. So I'm glad that you participated in that, and you're kind of running the initiative to increase membership.
Thank you.
That's been an amazing organization. Like is it $100 for an individual and $200 for a?
Yeah, $100 for an individual, $200 for a company, and then $1,500 for corporate sponsorship.
So even as an individual, for $100 you get quarterly meetings, and then you have like a Christmas party, and you get all these other parties. Everything is free.
Everything's free.
Even if you got half off your meals, you're still going to pay more than $100.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, and usually, all of the sponsors of these quarterly meetings and these after fives, they've stepped up their games. You go to one, and then the next one tries out, do the one, and then the next one tries. It's just a Chaldean thing.
Yeah, right. It is.
And 30% of the members aren't even Chaldean, which is
I've met a ton
awesome.
of non-Chaldean members. They're great people.
Great networking. Great people. Everyone wants to be part of our community.
I remember day one of that meeting. Day one. It was at the old Southfield Manor.
Oh yeah.
Yep, we're in that little room when you walk into Southfield Manor and you go to the right.
To the right, yeah.
I had that little one right.
So I will give a shout out to Sanat.
Sanat's
she is
bomb.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
She's awesome. She knows you. She knows what you do, and when you get to a function, she will drag you
to introduce
you to people that she feels would be a mutual benefit or that you should know.
Since you started shouting people out, who else do you want to shout out?
I'll shout out
or want to see get on here. You know what I'm saying?
I've got one in particular I want to see on here. But as far as shout out, obviously my wife, cosmetic nurse Faith.
What about the kids?
Yeah. My kids, Roman, Lourdes, and Blaze. They're 9, 5, and 2, and they look completely different from each other. I call it the variety pack. But
nice.
My kids and my family, everyone who supported me. Clients. I mean, if you don't have clients and you have nothing,
then your service is worthless.
Yeah. So all my past clients, my current clients, definitely shout out to everybody there.
Hi, clients.
Yeah. And as far as who I would want to bring on the show,
Sure.
Steve Francis.
Not the basketball player.
Stevie
No.
franchise.
Not the basketball.
No.
Well, he was a
The better
football
one.
player.
Yes, he was.
He did play for me in the CFL.
The more important one. Which one?
Steve Francis.
Oh, my Steve Francis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah,
did?
long time
Our
ago.
Steve Francis.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
So,
Our Steve
Yeah.
Francis.
all right. Yeah, I know, Junior.
And you
knows
guys have a
well.
nickname for him.
I'm not here to give out nicknames. I didn't create the nickname.
I'm not dropping it.
Yeah, I didn't
All right.
create it, but Steve Francis, he is the assistant director with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
That's a Chaldean.
That's
That is
legit.
a Chaldean guy
Yeah.
who has worked his way up the ranks of the U.S. government system. I mean, he is that is a very, very high position. He just got promoted again earlier this year and moved to Virginia.
Yeah, what's that make him second in command right now?
I don't know where
something
he
like
is.
that,
He's
to oversee, like-
he's up. He was with. He covered all of Michigan and Ohio, and then he got
Yeah.
promoted. So
The
I've
article
talked
I
to
read
him.
said over 1,000 employees under his wing.
Yeah,
right now.
I believe it. I think he'd be great. He had a radio interview with Laura Ingraham, and that was I think last year or so.
Yeah, we're at Laura Ingram's
Yeah,
level.
level,
I
of
think
course.
by now. I mean,
Steve,
we have
what are
300
you waiting at? You should have done
subscribers.
us.
Well,
he
we're
should
all
have done us
Catholic.
first.
Yeah,
We
right.
got that in common with her.
So actually, to mention that we had 300 subscribers so far, that's not enough, guys. Come on. If you watch the show, please subscribe. Just click the subscribe button.
Yeah.
We want to get up to 1,000 so we can bring you more destination
Interviews and stuff,
on-site stuff.
We can do a lot more.
We can do a lot
That's-
more.
It's a free click.
Yeah.
It's all you got to do. Just click it for free and
Click,
just be
click.
on there and show that you support us.
And then, so do you want to shout anyone else out?
Just everybody who supports us and you know, you guys. I mean, again, you guys are here.
Thank you.
Bringing people who are explaining what they do for livings and how other people can benefit by their goods and services. And I think that you guys should get your own shout out for that.
Thank you.
I don't know how you guys started it, but I'm glad you did. And that was Junior.
That man right there is idea.
It was his doing because he was out there. He got on Chaldean Chamber of Commerce. I was happy to see him on there. You know, I've known him for a long time, and it was great to see him on there. And my brother was fading away from the naughty a little bit, and I'm like, man, AT, showcase these people.
Yeah.
Just, I got to tell you, though, many people don't know. He called me and just told me, come stop by, let's talk about it. Talk about it, put me on video 5 minutes later. So,
So I put you
I
on
like
the
to
spot.
act, man.
Yep.
I like action.
yep.
I like to
I'm
get,
a little more
get this
passive.
stuff done.
He knows it. I'm a little more passive, but that's where we're at today. Anything that we may have not touched on with your business?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you just want to pitch somebody or
Yeah.
where they can find you too?
Yep. So my Facebook page is, I got 2 pages. So Sid Jamil Michigan Real Estate and Sid Jamil Wealth Advisors. But from the financial advising aspect of it, if you don't know what you're doing, one, try to find out, because you can be in a very vulnerable situation not knowing what you're doing. And as a matter of fact, I've said this for years. You should surround yourself with people, you know, when I'm talking doctors, attorneys, accountants, I mean, even mechanics. You need these people to have 2 characteristics. You need them to be ethical, and you need them to be competent.
Sure.
If you have one and not the other, I mean, think about that scenario.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah, think about
Disaster waiting to
that.
happen for sure.
And if they have neither, then you're really
Run.
screwed.
Yeah, yeah.
Run far and fast. So know who you're working with. There's a lot of good people out there that could help you. As far as what I do for clients, I mean, I think where I'm set up with an RIA firm, again, you make more money, I make more money. I do poorly for you, I do poorly for me too.
Yeah.
So there's a direct correlation there. On the real estate side, again, my background and the fact that my clients they become friends if they weren't already. So it's a very relationship driven situation for me in particular. So I mean, I don't want my clients to get screwed. I don't want them to buy something bad. So I have detailed conversations with them about what's important. And you know, home buying, I tell them it could be fun if you let it. it could be stressful if you allow the stress to interfere. And sometimes the stress gets in the way of making good decisions.
Sure.
And if I have the communication in advance of what's important to them, and they're overlooking something because of the emotional, I'll bring them back and say, hold on a minute. You told me that you wanted this. This doesn't have that. Are you sure? And, sometimes people are like, oh, well, I like this house because it's more than I have today. I said, well, you're not moving every year. So why don't you try to accumulate a lot of what you don't have today in your next house so you don't have to move all the time? Moving is expensive. It's costly.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass, too.
Yeah.
It is. It's not easy.
It is. Yeah, it is. So I remind people what's important, and even if they don't think about something, like, for example, open floor plan, something that's not really open floor plan. If they don't have kids yet, they're not thinking about it. But when you have an open floor plan where the kitchen leads to the family room, it's a lot easier to watch the kids while you're in the kitchen doing something.
I love that.
But sometimes, I work with newlyweds or people that just don't have kids yet, or even first floor master is another situation where I just try to throw some ideas in their head to forecast what would things look like later on.
Nice.
And then, from the real estate side as well, it's a seller's market. Their inventory is very low, but if you're
it's a good time to list with you, is what you're saying.
It's always a good time to list. If
Right.
you need to sell the house, if you want to move, I was always told this a long time ago. It's always the right time to do the right thing. You need to do something. It's the right thing to do. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Do it. It's
Exactly.
always the right time to do the right thing. So, but if you're looking to buy and the inventory is so low, I have a database that I keep of clients, both sellers and buyers, that I reached out to you guys regarding pocket listing. It's somebody who is looking to sell their house, but they don't want it on the market. They don't want just anybody coming by. They don't want their neighbors knowing. But they say, look, if you have a buyer, I'll sell it. Yeah, and then so that's a situation where I've got a database. So if somebody tells me, hey, I can't find on Zillow or whatnot, but this is what I'm looking for, I might have somebody on my database, or just contacting.
So pocket listing is just a term. It's not a software.
It's just a term. It's
Okay.
it's an unlisted property that would be available.
Gotcha.
And then we also network with so many agents that have coming soon listings or pocket listings. And I think another thing that I take pride in is I have a designation, real estate expert negotiation. But it has allowed me to, because a lot of people think of real estate, they hire an agent, the agent puts a sign up and they get paid.
Magic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But there is so much
More
that
to
goes on between agents that I try not to get my clients involved if I don't have to, because it's stressful to them.
Right, right.
So if I can handle the problem without causing them stress, why wouldn't I want to do that?
That's great.
So, and a lot of times it's the relationship with the other agent is key as well. So they're trying to do what's best for their clients. I'm trying to do what's best for my clients. And there's so many aspects of negotiation. There's the initial offer. There's a counter offer. There is inspection. Inspection could be huge.
Yeah.
When inspection would be, you have like a 7-day window, 10-day window after you get your the house under contract. They can come and inspect it, and what they find, they can come back to you with a laundry list. They can come back to you with a deduction of price, and that is negotiable again.
Yeah.
And so you really need to know how to handle it. I had a listing where the buyer's agent, after the inspection, they wanted to drop it was under contract within like 3 days. And they wanted to drop it a ton for inspection. It's all BS stuff. So I told my sellers, I said, look, this is like poker. We can count them out on their bluff. And so they agreed.
Yeah, right.
I told the other agent, I said, we're not dropping it $1. Send over the release. And same conversation. He's like, all right, just let's move forward with it. So, if you kind of need to know how to negotiate.
Sure.
So there's inspection, there is appraisal, there's final walkthrough. If you damage your house when you're moving, there's a problem.
Right,
the agents are going to have to negotiate that. So there's a lot of different things that the agents do. I mean, I'm texting other agents, when we've got our deals together, I'm texting them at midnight. You think I'm calling my clients at midnight? But by morning, we've already settled it, and we just tell the clients what we agreed upon.
Right.
Yeah, so again, trying to it's already a stressful situation. I try to alleviate as much as possible. And because I have passion for it, it's not even work for me. I enjoy it.
Right.
That's the best part
So
about
let's close it out, and as we close it out, we like to ask everyone, our guests, what it means to them to be Chaldean.
I think culturally, the fact that I call Chaldean, I mean, we are diehard Catholics. You got some that have strayed. I mean, that's not for me to judge, but diehard Catholic, and our culture is ancient. And I worry that, it's kind of deteriorating a little bit just from generation to generation because we're not in our homeland anymore. But I know there's things that some people are doing to, kind of keep that going longer and longer. And to me, it means a lot.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's give a final shout out to our people. Make sure that you guys follow us. Like Sid was saying to us earlier, he doesn't get it why we don't have the subscribers. Just click and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on Facebook.
Can find us anywhere.
I don't know how much more ways I can give you to see this for free.
We're in your bathroom.
Yeah.
We're in your attic.
Yep.
Well, the conversation I had, off camera was I saw a post from Anthony saying we need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before we can, go further with it.
That's a lot.
How is 1,000 a lot? You've got 5,000 followers on Facebook alone on the personal side. I just don't know how we don't have 1,000 people who subscribe.
Between you and I, got 8,000 people.
Well,
between
Facebook makes it easy to reach out to someone, right? So that you could friend somebody, and if they recognize the name, then they'll friend you back. It doesn't allow, Facebook doesn't allow unless you pay to promote an ad or a post. So that's the difference now.
So, see, I do that. I pay for promotions.
Oh yeah.
And it's very effective. Again, there's so much more that.
Yeah, but so you're paying to generate business. This is not a business. It's not a business yet.
No, I get it. I get it. So. It's not a business, but I mean, you can do it for a couple dollars. But I mean, I pay when I have my listings or whatnot. I will pay to broaden. Sometimes people would be interested in the house, but they just haven't gone to look for it. But if it shows through,
up in their face.
You can specify people who look at
realtor,
realtor.
definitely.
People who. So from you guys' perspective, I'm just surprised that it's not way higher.
It takes time. I mean, people will get more comfortable and they'll jump on board, and we'll see.
And the show is great, so
there's no rush.
Thank you.
There's no rush, but please do subscribe. Just jump on there.
Yeah.
Thanks again, man. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for
it.
sharing your story. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, it's awesome to grow up with you.
Educating our people.
Yeah, to see where you're at now today, from our youth to today is awesome.
So Junior's mom and my mom, bless their souls, they were good friends, and I know you've spoken about your mom in the past, and one thing I remember about your mom was she was hilarious.
Oh man.
She would have all these old ladies just dying laughing. And
dirty jokes.
Dirty jokes. And when you'd come in the room, it'd be silence except for the laughing. They'd stop their joke in a heartbeat.
That's awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks again, man.
All right,
awesome.
thank you guys.
Good luck.
Thank
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.